Today we're going to talk about why the VA loan is the best primary residence mortgage in the world, and I'm going to just quickly introduce myself for anyone who doesn't know. I'm Dave, military millionaire, broke-ass sergeant in 2015, started buying houses, buying real estate, and by 2021 I left the military, never had to take a job again, and now I teach people how to do the same, financial freedom, all that great stuff. And today we're going to talk about the VA loan because I fucking love it, and it's got some misconceptions, and I wrote down notes to make sure I covered all my normal bullet points because I can get kind of fired up about this and just like go at it. Right, so the first thing, interest rates. They're better with the VA loan. They just are. And there's a couple reasons for this. One is loan level adjustments. So a VA loan won't adjust on your interest rate for the first time until you get a 640 or lower credit score, whereas FHA, conventional, and other primary residence mortgages will adjust 3 times before they hit 640. So if you have a 800 credit score and I have a 650 credit score with the VA loan, we're gonna have the same interest rate. And if you have an 800 and I have a 650, I'm gonna be like a half to a full point higher interest rate than you on any other mortgage product, which does 2 things. 1, it means your payment's higher. 2, it means the amount of home you can buy is lower, your affordability. Also, VA loans have a half a point lower interest rate out the gate on multifamily. So FHA and conventional loans, you get penalized for buying a duplex, triplex, fourplex. You'll have like an extra half to full point of interest, whereas with the VA loan, you don't, right? Now, also the VA IRRRL, which is interest rate reduction refinance loan. So like in today's environment, that means that if rates drop over the next 6 months, 210 days or 6 monthly payments by the time you're eligible. So let's say a year down the road, rates dropped all the way down to 4%. You could just file a piece of paper and refinance. You don't have to live in the home anymore by then. You don't have to have your credit checked. You don't have to do an income verification. You could have the house rented out and be totally jobless and still refinance and lower the rate. You can't do that with any other mortgage product, and that's incredible. So I love that. Also, just to prove my point, somebody I was coaching yesterday just locked in a house with a VA loan at 6.55%, and you're not getting that on most loans right now. So, and they had good credit. All right, so with the VA loan, you can do a construction or a rehab loan. They're not necessarily the easiest things. Most lenders don't know how to do them with the VA loan, and so lenders will tell you they don't know how to do it, or they won't tell you that. They'll tell you it doesn't exist, but that's not true. They just don't know how to do it. Those are both things with the VA loan. You can do a renovation, like an FHA 203K, or you can do a construction loan where you build a house. Both are possible with the VA loan. Don't let somebody talk you out of it. If you have issues financing one, hit me up. I'll introduce you to an agent lender that can help you with that. Oh yeah, you can use the VA loan multiple times. Now I know people for the most part know this by now that you can use it more than once. As long as you're within your entitlement. I have a friend, Naaman, who owned 4 houses with a VA loan all at once, and they were just low enough in purchase price that he was able to pull that off. That's not really the case for everybody, but you can do, like, let's say you hit your entitlement, you can sell all your properties, restore your entitlement, and go again, or you can refinance them all into conventional loans and do what's called a one-time restoration of benefits, and then you can go again. But I'm not going to go too much more in the weeds on that. What I normally tell people is after your first house, when you get ready for your second, third, talk to a lender, and again, I've dropped a link down below for lenders you can talk to that I recommend, and they are going to be your best source for figuring out all the ins and outs about whether or not you can buy another house and how much you qualify for, because it really does vary every situation based on purchase price of the first house, purchase price of the second house, and your county loan limits, where you live at the moment, where you're buying, all that stuff. And so it's just a variable. It's beyond the scope of this video. So let's see. No mortgage insurance premiums or private mortgage insurance, that's MIP, PMI, which will exist on any loan you pay less than 20% down on other than the VA. So FHA, conventional, USDA, any of those, you're paying MIP and PMI, and they cost a fortune. For example, I was paying $81 a month on a $79,900 duplex that I bought in PMI, and that was after paying the MIP. But that PMI was $81 a month. The VA loan, it would have been nothing. And even with the funding fee that people rant and rave, and they like to pick it as the one negative thing about the VA loan, that would have been like $11 a month instead of $81. So not even close. It's like $11 a month for every $100,000 you borrow is what the funding fee comes out to. It's actually like $10.5 now because they lowered the funding fee, so it's actually like $10.50 instead of $11 for every $100K that you borrow. That's nothing compared to all the other PMI stuff. And then on top of that, that's waived if you're a Purple Heart veteran recipient while serving, or if you have a 10% or higher disability rating once you get out, which most people do. And before you go off in the comments about how corrupt the funding fee is, and oh my God, the funding fee is terrible, and you focus on the only negative thing about it, the VA wouldn't be able to stay open and keep this product alive if they didn't have that, because they have to pay all their employees for processing loans and backing loans and the whole system. So that's how they do it. So it is what it is. Still better than any other product in that regards. Oh, it's assumable. So you can assume a VA loan, and you can actually have a non-qualified VA user, assume the VA loan, you just lose, you don't regain that entitlement until they pay off the note. But as a veteran, I could assume a VA loan, no problems. I mean, it's a long process. So I say no problems. It's a complex, lengthy process, but it can be done. The appraisal process for the VA loan is better than the appraisal process for any other mortgage. So with a VA loan, the appraiser can do what's called tidewater. Basically, they can give you 48 hours to say, hey, provide me with comps if you think that your comps will sway what I'm going to put down on this, because I think I'm going to come in low. That's not normal. And then if they do come in low, you can go directly to the VA and be like, hey, here's the comps we found. We don't think this is an accurate appraisal. And I'll tell you that my lenders I work with say they see like a 5 to 15% approval rate on turning over appraisals with other mortgages, and it's like 60-65% with the VA. Incredibly higher likelihood, and there's actually a way to rush that, and that might even improve your chances, but that's like a case-by-case thing. But the reason for that is that if you, like a normal appraisal, when you say, oh, I don't think this is right, here's all my comps, it goes back to the appraiser. And then they're like, oh, you don't think I know how to do my job, like their ego's in the way, all this stuff. It's very rare for them to say, oh yeah, you're right, I messed up. But if you go through the VA, you just go straight to the VA, and that appraiser never even knows that it happened, which is pretty sick. There's not a debt to income requirement. So like FHA, conventional, all this stuff, if you break 49%, so like once you have 50% debt to income, no go on that loan. I've seen someone close a VA loan with like a 75-78% back-end DTI. I'm not saying I recommend that, but it's doable, right? There's also no credit score requirement. So I've seen people with the VA buy, 540, 580 with VA loan, and you're not going to see that with most loans. So also no credit. And here's the thing to remember: when you're working with all these lenders, if a lender tells you it can't be done, ask where that's shown in the guidelines. Because a lot of times, like, this is why it's so important to work with lenders that really specialize in the VA loan, because most lenders don't specialize. They just like learned a little bit here and there. But if you truly specialize in the VA loan, which is why I say just go click, talk to the lenders that I work with. They're more knowledgeable than anyone else. They run a training program called Vetted VA. They're incredible. And if a lender tells you that you can't do something with a VA loan, I'd say 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, it just means their bank won't do it. And rather than saying, our bank won't do that, go try this one, they're just gonna say you can't do it. Because they, maybe not ill-intentioned, maybe they just don't realize that because their bank has an overlay that says you can't do it, other banks still can. Which is why you gotta know what's in the guidelines, vice what the bank is telling you. Because if it's in the guidelines, okay, yeah, you can't do it. But if it's not in the guidelines, it's fair game. Like, there's no credit score requirements. So you just gotta keep asking around until you find a lender who will give you a loan. Because they can. The VA will back it, which makes it safe for the lender. As long as the lender doesn't have a minimum credit score requirement that they overlay on top of the guidelines from the VA. So I tell people all the time, whenever you run into an issue where you're not 100% sure if the lender's being honest with you, ask about and check the guidelines. And if that doesn't work, come talk to one of my lenders and they'll square you away, because they're the best. So it's easier to qualify for a VA loan than like anything else. In fact, I'm gonna mess up all these numbers on it, but I mean, it's absurd to think, like, I think it was like every 100 people that applied for the VA loan, like 40 something bought a house last year. So like that means 60-70% were qualified, and like 40 of them actually bought a house. I mean, it was a crazy number. I don't remember the exact stat. I'll have to go look. It was at a conference I was at with the actual VA, and it was phenomenal. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with the VA loan. Oh yeah, they count 75% of the gross income of your tenants towards your rent. And if you don't have the 2 years experience as a landlord, just hire a property manager. So the VA guideline actually just says you have to have a likelihood, like a high likelihood of success as a landlord. You don't have to have experience. Someone's telling you have to have experience, that is a lender overlaying that again. So just hire a landlord or go find another lender, because you don't have to have experience. You just have to have a high likelihood of success as a landlord. I would say any service member and veteran has a high likelihood of success as a landlord if they put their mind to it, because you made it through all the crap that comes with being a service member and veteran. Being a landlord's not as I don't actually know which one's worse than going through like boot camp and getting shit on, or dealing with tenants. They both have their ups and downs for sure. But biggest thing with this is agents and lenders get taught that the VA loan exists, and like the super basics, like 0% down, it goes through the VA, blah, blah, blah. They don't get taught the specifics. So you need to go to somebody who actually took the time to go through the guideline and learn this stuff on their own, which is hard to find. And that's why I keep going back to it. But if you click the link down below, you'll get an introduction to an agent lender that I work with in the area you're looking to buy. It costs you absolutely nothing. If you do buy a house with that agent, just for full disclosure, I'll get a kickback, but it'll be from the person selling the house. this, whatever. You're not going to pay me, and so it'll cost you nothing to get introduced to an agent lender that actually knows what they're talking about, as opposed to one who like says they do but just doesn't want to lose your business, isn't going to tell you like, I'm the wrong person, I'm really not that great at this, you should probably go work with someone who specializes. Like, no lender's going to tell you that to turn you away, especially not right now in a high interest rate environment when they're not making the money they were 2 years ago. It's just a matter of fact. Like, that's just how it is. And so you just need to make sure that you're talking to the right people who are passionate about this and actually experienced in this, and they'll help you out. But that's the basics. I mean, the VA loan, I could go on and on and on and on and on, but it is an incredible product, and I highly recommend you use it. And I highly recommend that you use it to house hack, because that's my personal favorite way to get into real estate investing. And it's how so many people in the War Room Mastermind have started their journey to achieving financial freedom, and why so many of them do achieve financial freedom. So definitely check it out. And if you got something out of this video, share it with some buddies, hit the subscribe button. I don't know, leave me a comment or something so YouTube knows that I don't suck, and have a great day.